Joins us this morning as well, Governor Kasich. Thanks for joining us this morning. You're laughing.
Sounds like hey, George, it sounded like a sporting event. You know?
Well, a little bit. And like a sporting event, there are numbers as well as statistics, and the numbers don't lie here. You were way behind in all the states again last night, three-fourths and a third. You're 0 for 19 overall. So how do you justify staying in the race?
Well, first of all, George, we did better than anybody thought we'd do last night. We picked up delegates in 3 states. And we have our game plan. Look, you were there when you put your game plan together in the old days, back when you weren't as a broadcaster, and we have our game plan. Our game plan was to do well in New Hampshire, which we achieved. We did better than people thought in South Carolina, and we continue to pick up delegates. Now, we are closing fast in Michigan. We're going to have a good result out of Michigan because, you see, it's like March Madness. You know, we've now moved to the Midwest. We've now moved more to my territory. I will win Ohio, and it'll be a whole new ball game, and I'll be able to compete in a lot of these states. And let's face it, there's some places in the South we just didn't compete there really aggressively. We didn't compete in caucuses last night. We still got delegates. So just hold on, George. You know, look at Mississippi, look at Michigan, and then look at Ohio.
Let's take one step at a time. You say Michigan, first of all. Brand new poll out this morning from Wall Street Journal and Marist and NBC has Trump at 41, Cruz 22, Rubio 17. You're in 4th place at 13. You're not closing the gap.
No, well, I mean, you've got your polls, and there have been a lot of other polls that are out. Just watch. We've got a lot of momentum up there since that debate. People have been very positive. I was there for a couple days. I will be back. And I can tell you that we are closing the gap, and you will see a better result than what you expect. And then, of course, we go to the gravitational center of the political universe in Ohio.
Ohio always is. That is for sure. And, of course,
amazing.
That is your home state. But if you look at the numbers right now, even if you win Ohio, there's no realistic path for you to get the number of delegates you would need before that convention. So your entire strategy now is basically a spoiler strategy, isn't it?
No,
win Ohio,
look,
broker
George,
the convention.
George, first of all, let's talk about what the strategy ought to be. The strategy ought to be who has the record and the vision to run the United States of America and to be the leader of the free world. Look, I've been endorsed now, I think, by 30 major newspapers in this country. What do they all say? He's the guy that can do this. He's the guy that can bring people together. We're not running for class president. This is not Valentine's Day where we stuff the ballot box, okay? Secondly, my message is starting to really get out there, George, and you know, and I just had a commentator tell me the other day, if you don't start name-calling, you're not going to get anywhere. You see, I'm not going to do that, and I think people are realizing it. And I tell them, let's send the message.
At the same time, let me just interrupt you right there, because this has been your consistent message all year long. You're the experienced guy. You're the guy that can make the system work. Donald Trump, Ted Cruz are promising to shake the system up, and they're the ones getting the votes.
Well, George, I've shaken the system up more than anybody who's on that stage. As you know, I've never been establishment. You know how many toes I had to step on to get the budget balanced in Washington, to reform the Pentagon and take on defense contractors, what I've done in Ohio. I'm not an establishment guy. The problem is you guys didn't give me any coverage. For 6 months, I wallowed at 1% in the polls. Why? Because I'm not name-calling.
I've had you on my show from the very first day you announced,
George, I'm not just talking about you. You know, look, you want to look at the numbers? Do you want to look at the amount of coverage people get when they name-call? As compared to the discussion about policy and who can run the country? That's indisputable. You know that. So here's the situation. Look, I'm going to be competing up north. The calendar worked in the South. Didn't work great for me. We never worried about that. Our strategy was always to survive and get to the north. And now we're getting to the north. And forget that Marist poll. I don't know who took it. I don't know what it's all about. If I thought that was true, I would tell you we're not doing better. We are doing better, and we're going to win Ohio, and I'm going to be competitive all across the north.
But you know the numbers, and you've said this already. You know that you're banking on the possibility that a brokered convention would turn to you. That's your only way to victory.
George, no one's going to have the numbers. What are you talking about? I would have to win 68% of the remaining contests, okay? 68% of the remaining delegates. Mark would have to win like 64. Ted would have to win like 60. Donald Trump's going to fall short. This is not like, this is the way it's going. Now, if Trump, wins all the rest of these things, he'll go to the convention with the right numbers. But if he doesn't have the right numbers, then we're in a multi-ballot convention. What's the big deal about that other than it's exciting? And you know what? This year, is there anything else to be expected with the way things have gone this year? So let's just, and you know, I'll tell you what'll be great about it. Now, I agree with Ted Cruz from the standpoint we can't let a bunch of Washington insiders pick the nominee. You know why? I'd have no chance at that because they don't like me, okay? Plain and simple. But think about how much education our kids are going to get about the way in which we pick a president. It'll be fantastic in this country. So spending their time, you know, looking at some of these Hollywood stars, they're now going to, nothing wrong with that, but now they're going to spend more time thinking about how we pick a president. I think it'll be very cool, but... You don't think they're going to be watching a Republican Party split apart? George, I think at the end of the day, the Republican Party is a reflection of the nominee. And frankly, I went down to CPAC, Conservative Political Action Committee, okay? They said, you know, Kasich, we don't know if he's a conservative. I got 2 standing ovations down there. People were energized. The fact is, I beat Hillary Clinton by 11 points, more than anybody else. We can get the crossover votes. And my agenda is, I've got a shock and awe agenda for the first 100 days of Congress. So the fact is we'll bring the party together. I really don't worry about that. I just worry about making sure to get on your show so people can hear my message of economic growth and providing some economic security for Americans. You got it today, Governor Kasich. Thanks for joining us. All right, George. Thank